Hello, YouTube. All right, although we've done episodes about this before, about staying cool in the van during the summer as the heat starts to blare down, which right now, thankfully, the sun is behind some clouds, but it does get super hot. But I wanted to point out several things that some of you should keep in mind if you're new to van dwelling and stuff. The main one is that your vehicle is essentially a solarium. Think about it. It's an enclosed container with a lot of glass all around that absorbs heat, that lets radiant heat in and then holds it inside and continues to heat up. In Florida, the car could get well over 130, 140 degrees. Yeah, if you seal your windows and just set it out in the hot sun. So I've done several things with Blue right now that help to control that situation. The first is that might be the easiest to do is actually try to park during the daytime underneath shade, whether it be a parking garage or, in this case, trees at a park. That will help immensely. It'll lower the internal temperature of your vehicle by anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees or more, simply by sitting under the shade. The second thing you can do, like I did in my case, was paint your roof white. I did that using the elastomeric white paint. You know, it's like a waterproof rubberized paint that basically gets the heat when it hits the vehicle to bounce off. Okay? Now, the whole vehicle is actually a heat absorber. It's metal. So when the sun hits, it kind of radiates and spreads throughout the whole vehicle wherever the metal makes contact with each other. So that's only a limited step. But the lighter your vehicle, like a white color, the cooler it's going to be. It's going to bounce off anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees. So that will help to keep things cool. The other thing you'll notice, as I am in Florida, is that a lot of vehicles here have very darkly tinted windows. That helps to reduce the amount of heat coming in. I also have, I will show you here later, the rear window is always popped open, and I have that so that air can circulate through. But you'll notice I have mosquito netting that I've installed, which if you look at the construction of Little Blue 2, I don't know if I show it, but if I build another van out, I'll show you how I made something like this, which is it's essentially mosquito netting screening that has been put on the inside so that when you shut it, see, it looks stealth, you can't tell that anything's there, but when you open it up, you know, it allows the window to fully open as much as it opens, which it opens at a diagonal on a gap. And that allows airflow to happen. During the summer when I'm sitting in my vehicle and stuff, I normally have like the front windows down and open, and I'll even have the side doors open to let air circulate and flow through, and even pop open the rear, and I brace that, and that lets the air fully go through. And even in direct hot sun, it's pretty cool like that, you know, when I do that. So that's some stuff you can do with your vehicle itself. The other thing you can do that is helpful is install curtains. This door's locked. I'm just making an unlock here. Come to the other side, I guess, and show from that side. The other thing you can do is actually have curtains installed. And what the curtains do is they serve as like an air barrier, layer. So you got the hot air that sits on this side, and on the inside it is cool. Another thing that helps out a lot is to have these fans, these 12 volt DC fans, which you can buy from Walmart and other automotive stores. I think they're about like $12 to $15 each. And I use these for sleeping. I have 3 of them in here. I used to have only one, and when it failed, I almost died that night. It was so hot in the van. But one of the viewers sent me some money, not because he knew it was hot, but he had sent me money beforehand, and it arrived like that day, the day the fan would fail, which was the 4th of July week night or something like that. And luckily I was parked at Walmart, so I quickly went in there and bought a fan and was able to stay cool. I have 3 fans that are set up in here right now. I don't know if you can see all 3 of them. One in the back there, one on the side, and one right up front here. They are all hooked up into my house battery system, so I can actually have all 3 fans going if I want to, but usually I only run one at night. The one pointing right at me, right back there at my head to keep me cool. Of course, you got air conditioning in your vehicle if you have AC, which you could run that, but that gets kind of expensive. Little Bluetooth for the first 3 years had no air conditioning at all, but thanks to Charles, as well as efforts by several viewers and Express Tech Auto, Marcelo and Tony and them, they got the AC working in Little Bluetooth. So I actually, for the first time, have air conditioning right now. You might be wondering why the vehicle is running right now. It is because I am actually cooking. Yeah, I'm cooking rice. I don't know if you can see that in the inverter cooking system right now. The rice is cooking. And I'm going to be driving. I think I wasn't going to go to the compound initially, but I think I will go there because I want to cook up a special treat. I'll leave that to talk on another video, but I'm going to make a little treat for myself to eat out there at the compound and just to chill, because it is the start of the weekend and I get my children, you know, both days this weekend. So this is my one free day to be Denoy, which means straightening out my van, cleaning things up and stuff. Okay, some other things you can do to stay cool, they're really cheap, is just to get a spray water bottle like this. This is from Dollar Tree, and I like it because it's blue, and that's just water in there. And I use this to clean things, you know, like my dishes and stuff. You might have seen that before. But it can also spray. You can spray a mist on yourself. And, you know, what happens is when you wet your skin with this, it evaporates into the air, and you get cool, you know, especially if a breeze comes by. Now, I had built previously one of these. I don't know if you've seen this. Some people call it a swamp cooler, but really it's kind of a swamp cooler, but not really. It's more of a blow cold air in your face cooler. And how it works is you basically have a cooler like this that you drill a hole in. I bought this from Walmart. I think I paid like $12, $10 or $12, maybe $15 for this. And I got one of those circular cutting hole thingies for the drill and just drilled a hole straight through. And the idea is you take one of your fans here and you mount it on top like that. And when you turn it on, it'll force the air down there out into here, out through this little hole. And you might be saying, well, doesn't the fan by itself work just as well? Yeah, but what you're going to do is you put ice in here. And I'm going to show you how this works here in a moment. Let me pause this and load up the ice. Here you can see a cup of ice that I have. It says racetrack, but it's not really racetrack ice. I got ice here from another gas station. I just went by there and asked them if I could fill my cup with ice, and they said sure. It was free ice. But you get a cup like this and you put it in, see? And what it'll do is cool down this air around it a little bit. And then when you put your fan on it, so you can put that, and you can even, you know, just put that out of the way or whatever. But when you turn it on, let me turn this on. The fan will pull air in and blow it out through here. I know you can't tell on the camera, but it's actually blowing a cold breeze at me. And it's colder than normal fan, because what's happening is the warm air is going in, hitting the ice right here, and cooling down a little bit. Not much, but maybe a degree or two, maybe 3 degrees. If you're lucky, 5 degrees. And it'll blow the cold air right at you. Now, some people say you can just put water in there, and what you're doing is you're making like a swamp cooler. It'll blow cold, moist air into the hot, dry air and absorb some of that heat and cool the room down. So that's how a swamp cooler works, essentially. This is kind of like that, because it is blowing cold air, but it's not really pulling the moisture from the water. It's actually from the air itself, you know, because there's ice in there. You're hitting ice. The ice is cooling the air in this confined space, and then it's blowing it out. So this is kind of how those coolers sometimes you see advertised on TV work, except that unless they say they just use regular water, then it's basically a swamp cooler. And they tend to be more effective in a place like, you know, the desert, where it's hot, dry air. Florida, on the other hand, you can see it's raining again here, has humid, damp, wet air. So swamp coolers typically don't work so well. And when I was telling people about this, you know, and I was going to build it and stuff, people kept saying it wouldn't work, it wouldn't work. Well, those people have never tried it. It does work, even in Florida. And the reason it works is simple. You're blowing cold air at yourself. If I had a fan like this blowing at myself right now, or you can hear me talking with the fan, it's cooler than if I'm just sitting here with no air moving, okay? And when I have it blowing cold air, of course it's going to work. And I had tested it, you know, on numerous occasions at night sleeping, and it got so cold I had to turn it off. I was freezing cold. Yeah. The air was hitting it and blowing cold air right at me. And the reason is you have it setting near you where it's going to blow right at you. Now, will something like this cool down your whole van? No. That's where it won't work. If you're thinking that this little tiny thing is going to generate enough coldness here to cool down your entire van, it's not going to happen, okay? What this is useful for is if you have it pointed right at your face, like while you're sleeping or something, it'll give you an extra 2 to 5 degrees colder air blowing at you than if you just had the fan by itself. And where this might come in handy is if you have like a pet, like a dog or something. You know, you could have it with ice sitting there near it, and you see right now this is really cold air blowing out of it. But if I had a dog or something and I had this blowing right at the dog while it was laying down sleeping in its little tiny cage or whatever, little area, the dog would love it because it's cold air. Now, you do have to refill that. That'll probably last about 6 to 8 hours, maybe 10 hours. That's how long it takes for the ice to melt. So you'll need to get new ice. And if you're living in a home, you could actually freeze like bottles of ice and stick them in there. What I would do is, you know, in that case, because you have access to a cooler or a refrigerator, freezer, I would freeze several bottles of like 16 or 24 ounce bottles of water and make them frozen solid, you know. Excuse me. And put them in there and have it blow at me. And when the water thaws out, you have drinking water. So there's a thought. But these are some of the ways to keep cool. I think you can see already it's misted up here because it was, you know, the hot heat out here. But this is just some of the ways I managed to stay cool and survive for the past 3 years here inside Little Blue 2, you know, with the no air conditioning. And even like with air conditioning, I still use this setup, you know, with the fan going. Let me turn this off here. I still use the same setup here for staying cool. Now, honestly, I don't really use this cooler that much, and I'm going to be putting it back up after showing it off to you guys, because for me, it wasn't really worth losing the space to hold the cooler to get about, you know, 3 to 5 degrees colder air blowing at me. And the other issue is you have to get another cup of ice, you know, to do that. So I just brought this out. I made this a while back on the Way Too Cool channel just to show you guys how you make something like this. But it does work. For those of you who don't think it works, you need to try it for yourself. It does work. It will not cool down your entire van, but if you have it blowing at you, it will definitely feel cooler than if you just have a regular fan blowing at you. So something to keep in mind. The other thing that you can do, and that I normally do when I'm parked, is I put up this reflector sunshade here. Blocking the sun is the easiest way to keep yourself cool. So I'll put this up on the window, you know, and just basically block my front access. And I have the curtains drawn on the side, you know, on the rear windows and stuff. And what it does is just blocks the sun. You know, the less sunlight you let into your vehicle, the cooler it's going to be. And if you have air circulating, like I'll have the windows, I actually generally will have it propped down a little bit, you know, like that, for air to circulate through. But that helps to maintain coolness in your vehicle. So I hope these little tips help. If you guys watching this have other tips that can help viewers, you know, go ahead and post it down below so people watching this video and reading the comments can benefit from it. But one of the biggest things that I can say is when it's hot outside like this, if you don't like the hot, you know, it's silly to sit in your vehicle. Me, I would be exploring right now, looking at for dolphins and manatees and stuff. I don't sit in the hot vehicle all day. And right over there, that building you see right there is a nice cold air-conditioned library with internet access. They even have computers you can kind of check out and use, you know. Well, you use it, you don't really check it out, but you use it there if you're a patron. And I think they have guest access. You have to pay some money for that. But my biggest advice for staying cool, living in a van during the summer and stuff, is if you can get into a building with air conditioning, do that. Leave your vehicle with the shades up and the gaps so that there's air circulating so your vehicle doesn't get super, super hot. But don't sit in your vehicle. But if you are somehow going to be sitting in your vehicle, make sure you park under a tree, take all these precautions. It's more than manageable. And I'm in Florida, and I was in South Florida like this, and it was survivable, even though temperatures outside were in the upper 80s and 90s, you know, sometimes up to like 96, 98 degrees sometimes outside, it felt like. But in the vehicle, I would park by waterways. That's the other tip that I can tell you. See how I'm by the river right here? This is the Indian River. If you park by water, water naturally absorbs heat. So when a breeze blows through across, whether it's ocean water or river water, you are going to get cooler air. Yeah. So if I were really hot and needed a place to sleep where it was cool, I park next to water like I am here, or I might even park off the causeway. The causeway is what we call the bridges here, and they have a little pullover. Now, you could possibly stay there for a couple days, and you know, if you stay too long, the police might say something. But if you're there for 1 or 2 days, I don't think they'll say anything. You could even be there a long time at different causeways, as long as you move around and nobody reports you. You know, or the police doesn't pay attention. But they don't want anyone living out there. But you could camp there for a day or two, especially if you have fishing gear. If you have a fishing pole and you're fishing, that's allowed. You can actually fish out there, so you could fish all night. So get some fishing gear, set it up on your van, and go to sleep. If cop shows up, say, yeah, I'm taking a nap while I'm fishing. Truly. But these are just some of my thoughts about staying cool. The main one is avoid the sun. Stay out of the sun, shade your vehicle, ventilate, and try to find air conditioning if you can, if it bothers you that much. If not, get out there, explore the world, enjoy nature, and feel the cool breeze in the open. Don't sit here in a solarium and slowly roast yourself. Until next time, everyone, take care. God bless you all. Please stay safe, and I hope you're keeping it cool. Bye-bye now.